main thing that I'm working on right now is getting the levels with your audio as well as mine, kind of evening them up. Um, what did you got? How was your day?
It hasn't been too bad at all. It was pretty chill. I'm just working super hard at my normal job, enterprise, and then they just went by, and I made my way home as fast as I could, and now I'm just chilling.
Nice, nice. Yeah, it was nice and toasty. We've been priming the doors of the studio and painting, and we can't. There's no reason to watch paint dry, so I thought I'd go hit the pool.
That definitely seemed like a nice idea.
Oh yeah, and so that was nice, and had some good lunch. Came home. You got to get off that chlorine.
Absolutely. So, you're in Florida, right?
In Ohio, Cincinnati, Ohio. Yeah.
Oh wow! I thought it was Florida.
Yeah, there's been it's kind of funny. The past 2 or 3 artists that I've interviewed Mike SB, DJ Galaxy, and that Mitchell guy were all from Florida. Isn't that wild?
That is wild.
And where are you from?
I know Mikey. I know Mikey personally.
Dope.
Yeah. I'm from New York.
There you go.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
The second guy that I did, Hunter J, he's from upstate New York.
Nice.
What part of New York are you guys in?
I'm currently in Brooklyn. Go Metro lives in the Bronx.
Nice.
But I'm originally from, like, I guess people call it upstate. It's not really that far upstate. It's like an hour and like 20 minutes from Brooklyn. But
I've got a friend around Binghamton or something like that.
Binghamton. That is what I would consider upstate. That's like 3.5 hours from the city.
Yeah, I met some random LinkedIn guy from Wall Street, and I've been talking to him over the past several years, and it's wild. These upstate Wall Street guys are golfing every day and having barbecues. It's like, all right, man, like, it's great that we met you on LinkedIn, but what kind of business can we do? But, he doesn't really want to be involved, and I've tried to make an interview with him or content, but, he keeps pretty private. But wouldn't you say, like, Wolf of Wall Street, like, that's some of the most compelling, shit you can have, And he's got a pretty interesting story. His dad owned the firm, so it's like the definition of, like, how easy is that life? Comes in at 18 after high school, makes a ton of money, retires at 30, right? And then his dad continues working, right? And then once your dad passes away, you got a giant bag.
Yeah.
But it's like all of his money is in the market, right? So he doesn't really have any investment properties or businesses. It's a wild life.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And to talk a little bit about myself, to give you somewhat of a background, I had been doing in-person interviews for the past several years, artists and DJs, and now, obviously, due to the virus, I'm doing more audio-based work. And I think it's a big opportunity because it gives you an opportunity to reach out, onto the internet. And I definitely think phone calls, although their quality isn't the greatest, maybe I should look into Skype or otherwise. But I kind of like the workflow of audio only, that I'm so used to dealing with, 3 cameras and, 2 hours of footage or 1 hour of footage. Versus a phone call that it's like, all right, just press record, just chop it up for 20 minutes or an hour. And Have you had the experience of being interviewed before?
Uh, yes, but not in terms of my music.
Mm.
Yeah. So this is a
What
little
have you
different.
been interviewed for?
Aside from like job positions and
Oh,
different
yeah, yeah, yeah,
ways.
yeah, yeah. I'm
Oh yeah.
talking about in terms of music.
Oh yeah. In terms of music, yeah, I've never been interviewed before, so this would be the first interview.
Dope, dope. And that's really like my whole mission statement is providing that first media experience. And it's kind of like media training that if we were in person, I'd tell you, hey, keep your mouth, a fist away from the mic or look at me, look at me, don't look at the cameras, different things like that. But since we're not in person, it's a little bit different. But the most
Luckily,
challenging part is everybody's cell phone is different.
this is true.
So like the mix is always, like because I'm right now I'm basically just monitoring your audio because it's somewhat peaking and but there's hardly any buzz. Like I'm pretty impressed. It
Yeah, the
sounds pretty
iPhone
good.
microphones are actually pretty great. I'm
Yeah.
not even trying to advertise for it, but I know at least in the past month or two, I've had the experience of working with artists that haven't had the financial ability to be able to afford a microphone. Some of them recorded on their phone, and I
Mhm.
couldn't believe how clear it was.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely think because I've got a 10, and I definitely can notice the difference between someone that's calling me from a phone or just an iPhone. It's definitely a significant difference. And you spoke about working for Apple. Like I did have one interview at Apple, and they asked me about what functionalities that I really like, and the biggest functionality that I think is straight magic is AirDrop. I mean, AirDrop has gotten me so much
Yeah,
immediate
that is.
immediate reactions because I'm the type of person that when I'm shooting footage, I literally either have my laptop with me or I can like, Wi-Fi over the Sony into my phone and then literally be at a venue or be at anywhere and within, 30 seconds to a minute, I can have already like and then just surprise them and impress them, hit Lightroom real quick, previously when I had the Creative Cloud as well. Um, I love it. What's your favorite feature of Apple products?
That's a great question. Honestly, my favorite feature would have to be two: being able to drop MP3 and WAV files into your notes without having to plug your phone in and save the actual song onto your iTunes and do that. I'm glad they eliminated all that, saved a lot of time, because that has been a turnaround for artists this past year
Yeah,
significantly. Because I've seen so many people use their phones to write their lyrics down and to have beats inside their notes, and it just makes timing and preparation for recording a record much easier for them. And for me to be able to go back and listen and engineer any mistakes that I could have made better on my own work, that yeah, it's a blessing for that. So definitely that, and also voice to text because,
mm.
or I guess not voice to text,
Yeah, because that's not really
voice
a
message.
proprietary thing, but the voice message, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And I
instead of
guess
having it's like
Instagram
a
has
mini
that too,
professional.
somewhat, right? They've kind of ripped it off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I would
What
say
other like super proprietary I guess Thunderbolt you would say like nobody else can really use the Thunderbolt.
yeah, that's their own cable.
Yeah. Um all right. So are you guys nice? I know we've just kind of been totally bullshitting for the past 10 minutes, but do we want to come right into it? Do we want to keep on chopping it up a little bit? I'm pretty sure I got your level as good as I'm going to get it.
Sounds good to me, man. Yeah, we're good to go. I'm still listening back. Oh, yeah. Give us like a couple minutes.
Okay. Okay, we can keep on chopping it up.
Yeah, man.
Um
So when did you realize that? Actually, let me hold that for the interview.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can, talk about, or talk, well, I mean, obviously, because that's kind of the difficulty when, producing these episodes, because some people, for me, I'm into building relationships, right? Like, I don't want this to be the
Oh, you
last
hit it
time
on the
that
nail.
we talk, right?
You hit it
So
on the nail.
it's kind of it's kind of a paradox, right? That on one hand, people come in, whether or not they're athletes or different people from different fields have kind of different approaches and different experiences, and when I talk to them on the phone, they're literally ready from the second that we record, right? Whereas, although that's nice, although that makes, for a quick production, there's not much relationship in that, and I've had experience with, in person doing an interview series with 10 to 12 artists being interviewed, and it almost felt like cattle, that I didn't see any building, I didn't see any, like, creating a company, right? It's just like purely bringing in the cattle, interviewing them, and then shooing them out of there, and there's no background conversation, right? And I've never liked that. So I do prefer, chopping it up and becoming friends, because this is our business. And I really like the content that you make. I like how you incorporate a lot of different instruments, that I think that's a huge competitive advantage. And I have an artist in Vegas named Keon, and he plays a bunch of Middle Eastern music, and he's very unique. And I like finding unique people. I like finding unique people that are proficient with instruments, and then turning those instruments into, you know, uh, I mean, what would you call your genre, right?
I
Because
don't
it's
even
like
have a name for it.
it's almost like in an instrumental beat type of like, it's like a whole nother level.
Thank you, bro. I
Right?
appreciate that.
That, because I mean, nobody, I mean, like, you do something very unique, wouldn't you say?
I, I have to agree with you. And the funny thing is, I only realized that I was doing something unique, honestly, like 3 months ago. Like I knew, like if you trace back on my page, there was like this health, wealth, and self thing. I've been doing that for a long time. I knew that. Yeah, I like to hold myself accountable every morning, so I use that to help myself as well as to help other people to focus on those main things, because that's honestly the three main things in your life: your
Yeah.
health, your financial situation, and your happiness. You got to make sure that you're good. So yeah, every day that's what I wake up and do. But in terms of posting myself, like playing piano or playing guitar or whatever instrument I'm picking up, and then showing people how I made the beat right after that. Yeah, I didn't realize that was something different until I was getting comments from different producers and other artists. Like, yo, bro, this is crazy. Like, you just whipped out the guitar out of nowhere, and then you gave us this whatever crazy beat this is. And I'm like, honestly, I just had an idea, and I went in my room, and I was like, I got to put this down before I forget it. And
Yeah.
that's all that was on my head.
Yeah. And Keon plays the grandmother, which is kind of like a moog. Have you heard of a moog? Can you hear me? Did I lose you?
For a quick second,
Okay,
maybe.
it's all good. Have you ever heard of a moog? The instrument, the moog.
Absolutely. I'm a big Moog fan.
Yeah. So Keon's got one, and he's in Vegas, and I think he does plan on going to Cornell in New York, and he is just as uh wide range of instruments in his own right. It's really cool stuff. That because in reality, due to the economy with, CD sales, not really being that great, or, the real money only comes from touring. So a big band, costs a lot of money. I was working with a sound company did a job with Erica Badu, right? And
Wow.
it was like a $65,000 writer just for the band. And a lot of these instruments have to be all new, right? And it's not like it's the band's property. It's like they tell the sound company what specifications that they want, and then the sound company has to, follow through with all that new equipment.
Absolutely.
And it's a shame that because it's like people like you, people like Keon, that it's like it's more of a working band. Like you're putting in work, and I think that is truly profound. That because that's what we're really fighting. On social media, we're fighting saturation. Wouldn't you
Absolutely.
agree? That it's very disheartening. That there's just so much, scammy pages. I mean, like, wouldn't it almost feels like Instagram's overweight, and that like it's just all the extra fat is all these scammy profiles that are just gumming up the arteries.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I mean, what have you experienced? I know I obviously approached you. You can tell me how that experience was, but comparatively, how has your DM communications been? Like, is it 90% scam, 10% decent people?
So the way that it's been working for me in terms of DM situations, luckily because of the audience I've been growing for the several amount of years I've had my Instagram account, they are true DMs.
Mm.
I probably get spam DMs maybe 5 to 7% of the time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But yeah, most of the time, yeah, spam, just fucking, oh, buy into this Illuminati,
Oh,
or
yeah.
hey, come check out this pic, whatever it is,
Yeah, well,
bullshit.
I'm talking about like pre-generated text that are not, genuine approaches.
Oh, yeah, in that case, yeah, I would say even less, maybe like 2%.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
It's I don't know because it's like I wish there was like an in between, like a LinkedIn and an Instagram had a child, and it's just like a more because that's the problem without having gatekeepers. Like the cream really can't rise to the top to a certain extent. That there's no levels to anything. It's a complete, it's freedom. It's nice,
you're right.
but so we wouldn't even have a shot if it wasn't for that in the first place. So I guess, we'd be shooting ourselves in the foot. So how long have you since you started your profile?
I think it's been like 7 years, 7 or 8. Yeah.
And how long have you been producing and just overall being a musician?
Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I thought I lost you for a second. But yeah, but like 7 years, I would say.
Okay. What about being a musician? Is it the same amount of time since you've had the channel?
Oh, no, no, no.
Yeah.
Being a musician, that's been a life. That's been a life thing, I guess. Family's all been musically inclined. Mother sings, sister sings. My dad played drums for 30 years. My brother played trumpet. He also plays drums. I started my musical journey, I guess, when I was 4. That's when I first picked up the drum set because my dad was tired of me like banging. Yeah, like I sang in church up until like 9 years old, and then I started going to like doing a course in school, and then I picked up the flute around like early middle school, like 6th grade, I would say. It was like, yeah, no, sorry, like late 5th grade. So yeah, I was like probably 11. And then around that same year is when I found the FL Studio as a production program.
Mm,
Brother,
yeah.
yeah, brother just found a program out of nowhere. I was like, what the hell is this? And we started playing around with it, trying to make beats. And then, yeah, somehow I started to get really serious about it. And then that brought me into learning actual instruments for myself. So taught myself how to play guitar on YouTube in 3 hours, just like the basic chords. And then I started progressing deeper into like jazz chords and pentatonic chords and things like that. And then I started picking up piano more seriously from watching the band I was in at church and just looking at the way they were playing and hearing what was going on
Mm,
while I was playing guitar. And then I would go home and practice playing the same kind of things I was playing on guitar on piano. And then I started playing piano really well, but I play that by ear. So I can't read piano music, but I play it by ear. Um,
yeah. That's my
so,
struggle. That's my struggle. I played guitar and piano, and I really settled when it came to the drums. And I can read drum music, but I cannot play by ear. That I had, teachers or whatever, but um, the drum teacher was like, "Hey, I'm gonna be going to Canada for 3 months." I'm like, "Really? Great. All right, that's cool."
yeah,
And so I can play a handful of songs on the drums, like alternative rock type of stuff.
awesome.
So that was a pretty good little intro here. Are you guys ready to get into it?
Yeah,
Okay. Cool. Because I wanted to bring in Go Metro, but I wanted to make sure we kind of touch base. But this whole thing has been good. Like I said, we'll probably use this entire thing. I'll probably cut off the first 2-3 minutes when we were talking about the the goodies. And but moving forward, what I would first like to ask Go Metro is, how did you guys meet? Was it in person? Was it online? Like, what's the whole backstory of you guys meeting?
Yeah, so we basically met in person. I was selling. I just got back from the military about 3 years ago,
Nice, thank you.
and yeah, no problem. Thank you, thank you. And I was selling. I ended up selling furniture when I got back to New York, and that's where I met Guap. So we actually met at our job, right? And I was there for about 2 months, and ended up leaving that spot. But when I met Guap, I got his Instagram, so I always kept him in the back of my mind. Like if I ever needed a producer, I could always go to him. And a year later is when I started working on my project. And I was thinking, like, damn, I need somebody that can make beats for me. And Guap popped up in my head, and that's when I contacted him, and we just started getting serious, bro.
Absolutely. So, what would you say is your inspiration getting into music in general? I know, Guap mentioned his background, so if you could just kind of go into the background as far as what has inspired you. Was it the situation that you were in? Was it friends and family? Was it a specific artist? What's your story when it comes to your music?
Well, it's definitely a mixture of all those things. Um, I'd say starting when I learned how to sing, pretty much since I was little, I was always born and raised, with my mom and my two sisters. And whenever songs would come on the radio or things like that would play in the car or whatnot, my sisters would sing to it. And then I guess I would sing along to it. And that's how I started getting accustomed to singing everything that was coming on the radio. So I would catch myself singing all these different songs and getting good at it.
Yeah.
But just growing up doing that just, I guess, allowed me to find out that I could sing.
Dope.
And then moving on with that, I guess my main inspirations would be old school R&B, so like Omarion, Mario, they were out at the time. Old school Chris Brown. That's when I was really into that singing kind of mood, singing everywhere I go, whether it be school or wherever. Like people would just find me annoying the amount that I song. Yeah.
And then
So,
Guap, who would you say that has been your inspirations as far as artist wise or producer wise?
yeah, I'll give you both. For artists, I would have to say it's probably like 6 or 7 people, definitely. Yeah, Michael Jackson, Music Soul Child, Chris Brown, Omarion, Ryan Leslie, Pharrell, and Drake. Yeah, I would say in terms of the kind of lyrical stuff that I do, those would be the people. In terms of the singing stuff that I like. For rappers, I would say J. Cole, Kendrick, Jay-Z, Nas, Isaiah Rashad, and there's one more person that I really like to listen to. Come to me in a moment. I'll get back to that person.
No, you're good. You're good.
But, yeah.
So those are your inspirations. Now, what would you guys say is the first thing that you guys worked on, or was the project that you guys released just the first thing that you guys have worked on, or what?
So the way this kind of stemmed, yeah, I mean, honestly, we started like 8 months ago. Go Metro reached out to me and he was like, I think I'm ready to get serious about this project and really become this artist. And I was like, I'm excited because I've been waiting for this.
Yeah.
So we had our first session, and it was an interesting experience.
It's pretty bad, actually. It's pretty bad.
We were building relationships, which is what we're supposed to do. Everything's going well. We're starting to make music. Everything's going good. Go Metro's having some Coronas, relaxing himself. I'm smoking my weed, whatever.
Yeah.
And we're having such a great time. Go Metro is just knocking these Coronas back and doesn't realize how fast it's hitting them. So, yeah, he had a little accident. And I thought that was going to be the last time we were going to hang out because I was really heated at that point.
So, I mean, I'm going to straight up admit it. I'm going to say exactly how it happened. So, we're getting ready to record the very first song to Exodus. And so I was like you said, I was drinking a lot of beer.
Well, and let me also throw this out as well. Having a vibe in the studio is awfully the most important thing, you know.
Of course.
So, but in moderation. But back to your story.
Yeah. So he ends up passing me the spliff. I'm smoking. 3 or 4 hits in, and I guess I had a bad reaction, like with drinking and smoking.
Yeah, little crossfade.
So we're getting ready to record the song. I think I do like one little verse in the song, knock it out. Then I sit down in the chair and look at Guap, right? And then I started getting like a really bad feeling in my stomach. And just all over the floor. I just threw up.
Oh wow!
It was pretty bad, and I felt horrible. I felt like a fucking, you know what I mean? My first session.
Guap, how did you feel about it?
I was shocked. I couldn't believe it.
Do you have carpet? Do you have tile? Do you have?
So luckily, it was in a tile area.
Oh, okay.
These studios, but no, I was shocked, but I instantly reacted and just went to go grab napkins and helped him out because I knew he was inebriated.
Yeah, it's not like he did that intentionally. Yeah. It's like, man, you know what? I can't wait to do. I'm gonna go over to Gloves and just make a mess.
Yeah, so I knew that was the case.
And hey, guess what? It wasn't on the mic, right? Now that would have been a problem. He probably wouldn't have been well.
We wouldn't be talking.
He probably, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
Yeah, probably not.
Oh my God! Just imagine that, like a $400 mic. Oh man. But if he replaced it, then it would be probably cool, though. You know. Because that would be an unusable mic. I mean, it's not like you can wash that out, right?
No,
you know, and then you're gonna be smelling the mic all the time. So that would be, man, like that would be. I'm surprised we haven't seen any videos of that. But it's like, who the hell would just do that purposely? So I don't think that's pretty. I mean, like that needs to be a meme or something that we're missing in our life. See, think about that. If he would have threw up on your mic, it would have been a viral moment, and in reality, the $400 mic would have been worth that virality. Oh, we just missed it. We just missed it. We just missed the opportunity of a lifetime.
When you go to the studio and throw up on the mic, like what?
Like, yo, that was sick.
That's
like,
so
yeah,
disgusting.
I'm about to spit some shit. I'm about to spit some shit.
And it's the album cover. It's the album cover too. It's, you know,
Oh my goodness.
just a still photo with like a strong flash, so it's like it's just dripping off of the mic. Oh, that is so nasty.
Oh god.
All right. We're both fried here. Okay, so what I wanted to ask, as far as short-term goals, you know, so have you guys overcome the stomach issues?
Yeah, everything's cool. All right, so yeah, back to where we were at. Since that moment and reflected on it and all that, I reflected on that night at the studio, and I was like, okay, I knew I was upset, and I had a reason to be upset, but I had my conversation with God. I was like, God, I'm gonna give this guy another shot. If he fucks that up, it's over. So I took it into myself and gave him a call or texted him that day. I was like, yo, bro, I know things kind of went south. He apologized multiple times.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like
There's no bad blood.
Yeah, it was a lot. So I was like, bro, everything is good. All we have to do is just be more responsible of what we're doing and not have drinks at the sessions anymore. So
Sure.
he was like, no problem. I can do that. Thank you for giving me another shot. And boom, the next session came. He was prepared. Didn't have any drinks. He was just smoking, and we had a great session. And since that second session, everything has been great and continually been great since then. I know there's a lot I've learned from him, and there's a lot that he's learned from me from each session that we go into, because he asked me questions, and that's what I like about him. He asked me a lot of questions in terms of what I'm doing and what he can learn or what he can do better to make himself the best artist he can be. So
yeah, and that's all you can really ask for. That, from my experience, I was a mechanic for a couple years, and I always prided myself, you know, that if you're working on somebody's car, you know, and you don't really know that much, you've got to constantly be asking for help. And I think that's like a true sign of like someone who's, you know, well determined.
absolutely.
Yeah. So what have you guys learned? What are some of these things?
In terms of structurizing songs, working on what kind of words you can use to replace other words that you may be stuck on in lyrics, because you know a lot of people write the same pattern over and over. So trying to, I guess, study patterns to be more creative in what we're writing or what we're producing. What Go Metro has taught me the most this year is to really go back and listen to my voice memos, because every time he comes over, he has voice memos of him singing these things that he's doing throughout his normal day, and he'll bring them over to me and show them to me, and I'm listening to these voice memos, and literally within the first 5 seconds of these voice memos he's showing me, I have the whole concept of the beat in my head. So within that time, I'm already putting little programs into my FL Studio and getting to work. I'm starting to place these sounds that I have in my head.
So you're still using FL Studio?
Yeah, that's number one for me.
Yeah.
I know how to use Pro Tools and Reason and Logic and all those, but I have different reasons for each one. But FL Studio is the main one for me.
Did you get that experience through work? What did you do for Apple? I mean, do you even want to bring that up?
I mean, no.
Okay.
Apple was pretty easy. All I did, I was just a specialist there, so I just helped people get their products.
Okay.
But,
I just didn't know if it was specific to, you know, is that how you got the opportunity to work with those softwares?
Actually, a little bit, I guess, because I told the people that I've met there, that I built relationships with, that I was focused on music, and that was when I was up in Boston. And there was a lot of other people there that had art backgrounds that wanted to use Apple products for those kinds of things. So yeah, I would say that did help me get a little bit further into interview process when I was going to work for Apple.
Sure. Now, what plans do you guys have for the future?
I mean, right now I'm just, as far as long-term future goals, of course, big dreams, trying to make it. I think my ultimate goal would be it's my ultimate goal. Once I do that.
Could you say that again? I think it cut out there for a second.
So I think my ultimate goal as far as like music would be to get a tape with PNB Rock. He's like my modern day influence, my modern day.
PNB Rock?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a video producer named Raya that did a production with PNB Rock, I believe. So there's that connection. So they did like some sort of like jet, like with like a jet with Bang Out Films and stuff. I think it was PNB Rock. I may be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure. See, I'm kind of to give more about my background, I consider myself a business consultant from outside of the industry, giving outside of the industry advice to the industry without being in the industry. But I would definitely say that within the past few years, I've certainly been close to the industry. But for me, working with different artists or otherwise, I always just like to, hear about their process and their relationships. And so, do you guys have any questions for me?
Yes. Now I can get into it. First question. What drove you to find your passion in film and audio?
Yeah, well, for my entire life, I always saw my dad playing around with different camcorders, and he'd always just set the camera up in one place. And when I first got into the industry, I'd do the same thing. I'd literally be in a club with a tripod, right? Like trying to get like the best angle, thinking that that's how you shot videos, rather than just holding it in your hand. And I think for me, whether or not it's fishing or restoring cars or it's kind of like a hobby type of thing, right? That I constantly like learning new challenges, right? And it's kind of like or what is it called? You're good at a lot of things, but a master at none. Does that ring a bell to you?
Yes.
That I'm kind of a jack of all trades in a sense, and I like researching stuff, and technology has always interested me. I had a computer since I was born, basically, worked with Photoshop and Illustrator, but the essentials, not the full suite, when I was younger, but I didn't know any better, right? It would have been great to have had the full suite, but, so I played around with some essentials. I had a few friends that traveled the world, and I mailed them my hard drive, and they gave me all their footage, and then I put together some 30 episode series of their trips. That kind of gave me, vlog editing experience, basically, and incorporating different music and but I would also say that I believe I started my YouTube channel in 2006. I did like skits and some super embarrassing, kids level shit. But the music, where the music came into my videography and photography, I was going to business management school, and in a marketing class, I met an individual that owned a company called College Beats, and yeah, exactly. And so my whole goal with College Beats was to promote it, as the CMO and equity partner. And, I took him to my lawyer, we got an operations agreement, an LLC. I set everything up, and then, found him a designer, designed a logo, copyrighted it, trademarked it. And I was supposed to do a lot more of the merchandise level things, but without that media, how are you really going to sell that merchandise, right? If people aren't seeing you, how are they really going to purchase, materials? But over time, I realized that the actual official College Beats profile was never posting me. So I was making all this content, this original content, because College Beats on Twitter would constantly be suspended because all they would do is promote copyrighted material, right? And that's like the number one no, right? So I took it upon myself to do more groundwork in order to find original artists. And that's one of the reasons why we're talking right now, right?
Absolutely.
And my partner really didn't value it as much, but that goodwill that I was generating within the community, it's called karma, right? And I built up so much goodwill. Like I said, designers fell into my lap. We had an opportunity to pay for Post Malone to do a show with us. We after Post Malone, my partner got much more involved. So it was kind of zero to Post Malone. I bought a $2,000 laptop, $2,000 camera, all on my own. And my partner just said, "Hey, if you buy these tools, I'll take care of you," right? To a certain extent. But as I started generating connections, he kind of, realized that I was the one doing this most significant amount of groundwork. And so he kind of took some of the relationships that I had built, and then they thought that they were helping me out by helping out my partner. But then my partner just had meetings without me, right? And then didn't include me in the deals that he was doing with bars as we pivoted from what I was doing, which was just media, to DJs. So, with College Beats, it's the college niche, right? And so he would just come to tell me, "Hey, Tony, I haven't found a way to include you in these deals," right? And so that at that point, I had to leave the company. So that's basically the whole background as far as my experience with the camera. That for me, it was a means to an end to a certain extent, right? That I had just been going to school for business management, right? And then I just take a right turn that, although I'm good at video editing and video production, although I can do it, I'd much rather be like, and I know it's hard to say like, oh, well, you just want to be a CEO, or you just want to be a CMO, or you just want to, manage different things. But hey, like that's a part of the puzzle. You need someone there to, develop the business plan and to do those infrastructure level things. So the videography, I don't want to say that it's not a passion. Like I'll definitely consider myself an artist, but for me, like I said, it's like I'm not a master at it by any means, right? And I don't know if I answered that sufficiently, or if you have any input on what I said.
Nah, you did answer it pretty sufficiently. It's just interesting hearing about how the process went about from you learning all those things.
An accident, a complete accident.
Yeah.
I mean, if I would have never worked with College Beats, yeah, I had a GoPro, okay, but I wouldn't have, because I'm the type of person, I'm 150% in or 150% out, right?
I hear
Whatever
you.
I'm doing. So now that I'm in this industry, right? Nobody, no father and mother say, "Oh, I want my son to grow up and be in the music industry." You know, but I think it's more of a side hustle for a lot of people. But
Definitely.
I do this full time. And I think I'm a complete fool for thinking I can do this full time. Without having, some sort of reliable source of income, but just going 150% in on media. How has that been for both of you guys, like the work and life balance?
Well, it's pretty tough, honestly, because I work nights. I work 10-hour shifts 5 days a week.
Yeah.
So same. I'm up all night and just getting accustomed to that schedule and fitting everything else around that schedule. My studio time, the little bit of free time that I do have, I try and dedicate it towards music, 100%. Because throughout the weeks, I'm always having music ideas that I really want to get down and get to the booth and make it happen, and just constantly keep it changing, constantly keep it moving.
Yeah.
With the crazy schedule that I do have, so.
And Guap, how's your work life balance?
I would say probably not as tough as Go Metro, but still pretty tough. I also do work 10 hours 5 days a week. I'm just up at 7. I have to be at work at 7, and I'm not out of work until 6 p.m. And then, second I get home, I try to get my workout in, and then I get right to music. So that's pretty much rinse and repeat every day.
Yeah. And I think I have a different lifestyle due to the fact that I'm more of a behind the scenes kind of guy. And that's what's been affecting me with this quarantine going on and the social distancing is that, you as an artist can create content, right? Whereas me, I need artists in order to create content, right? So it really makes, because I know I sent you guys some of the footage that I had shot. Do you have any feedback or comments on some of the actual videos that I sent you?
Oh yeah, it looked very official. Like when I pulled it up on YouTube, it looked pretty nice. I felt like I was watching like Charlotte and like the Hot 97 crew. Pretty much the way you had it set up there. It's pretty dope.
I also like the use of the green screen for like your different placements and having people on your shows. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's very new. That we've got the studio coming together. It is a family operation, so you know how that goes. It may be cheaper, but it's going to take a significant more amount of time. We've been working on this studio for 2 years. Can you believe that? I mean, it's wild. But it's 3,600 square foot and soundproof. And now we're working on echo treatment. That's really the last thing that, because it's almost. Did you guys see the last vlog of how I kind of talked about how echoey it was?
I didn't get a chance to watch that yet.
Okay, but yeah. So, and just for the audience as well, definitely check out the previous vlog that I have on the channel where I kind of go over the steps that we took in order to make it into the inside of the cyclorama. That we're lucky because we own the building, right? So we're able to make executive decisions like locking up windows, concrete windows. And I think that's, like how we were talking about your musical competitive advantages. My competitive advantage from a business standpoint for, the company that I'm trying to build or that we're trying to build or, as a community, that I actually own the building, right? And I think that often gets neglected, where a lot of I would probably say 100% of the studios in the city, they pay rent wherever they're at, right? And I think owning where the company is established is very important, because whatever money that we put into the property, we're going to get right back out of it because it's not getting burned away to rent, right?
Yes.
And and the better we do of a job, the more valuable the property is going to be. So then when we, let's say, move to a larger location or closer to the airport, we have that ability to do it. Have you guys done much traveling? Like, how many artists have you worked with? Like, what's kind of your community there? Guap and then Go Metro.
For me, yeah, I do a lot of traveling. No, I haven't been able to do it as much,
Yeah,
obviously.
lately. I'm talking about generally.
Yeah, back and forth travels from Connecticut, Boston, Pennsylvania, Florida, California. Just trying to most of the time it's just because I've never been to those places and I want to see what it's like. But yeah,
are you talking about for music or just for leisure?
This is how it usually goes. At first it's leisure, and then somehow, some way, I always end up meeting interesting people and finding out that there's these musicians or they are these artists or whatever it is. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just maybe that's a lucky thing for me. But
nice.
Yeah, I just end up meeting interesting artists wherever I go.
Were you guys both born in New York?
I was born in New York. I'm not sure about the Metro.
Yeah, I was born in the Bronx.
Yeah. How I was there. I stayed at the Plaza. I was there with an artist that had a Sony mini concert type of deal.
Huh.
And so it was like a 2-city tour, like somewhere Trenton, New Jersey, and then New York. So I got to ride around a little bit and see the One World Tower, and got my Yankee hat, and my buddy Pete was upset that I didn't get a Mets hat, but I don't know any different. It's wild. I mean, how do you guys feel about sports? Are you guys big sport watchers?
I used to be, but sports kind of dwindled down a little bit for me.
Yeah.
I'm still a fan of sports in general, but watching sports, I don't know. Yeah. I feel like the more I watch it, the more I realize what's rigged and what's not.
Well,
I'm honestly gonna get hate for this, but I've never been a fan of sports, to be honest. Like, ever. I've never found interest in watching basketball and things like that. I do it with the family, like when they all want to gather around to see sport or something. But besides that, I've never gravitated towards sports.
Well, my main issue is CTE. The brain damage. That it's kind of like, watching these type of sports is endorsing it. And I know the general public needs a break and need to hang out with friends and different stuff like that. That it's mainly about families relaxing and not thinking about their workday and being entertained. But it's as human beings, we've kind of got to realize that all of these people are getting brain damage, and even from elementary, even from the very beginning, it's not like it takes 30 years to develop. I mean, you get hit in your head once, and that's brain damage. In your life, you should only hope to have gone hit in the head 0 times, right? Who wants to be in the club of only getting their head hit 0 times, right? Nobody goes to sleep at night going, man, I can't wait to get my head knocked in, right? It's not a voluntary exercise.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
But I digress. So, what I would also like to ask everyone to do is, if you haven't already, please like the video. If you found value, if you enjoy these artists that we're featuring, If you would like to check out any of their content, all of the links will be down in the description. So I want to ask you guys, where can people find you?
For me, I'm on all social media. The best link I would say is smarturl.it/Guap the Guru, and that'll link you to everything.
Also known as your bio.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Link is in my bio for everything too.
There you go.
Right, and for me, it'd be I'm only on Instagram and SoundCloud at the moment. So on IG, you'll get me at Go Metro, and same thing on SoundCloud. Yeah.
Dope. Now, one other quick question. Who do you guys associate with as far as video production wise? Do you guys know photographers or videographers? Like, who in your life do you guys have different connections?
I personally don't. I think Guap does that.
Yeah.
For me, yeah, I have built relationships with over several years. First dude is Trevor. He has been a longtime friend of mine. We went to college together. He actually went to college for film and video to study production. And he made a name for himself and moved out to LA and is now doing videography for a bunch of different artists and also doing graphic design work for them as well. So yeah, definitely been a fun run with him. His handle or Instagram.
Yeah, you'll have to send me that.
Yeah, definitely. It's Cause Traffic.
Yeah, I'd like to interview him as well if you could possibly set that up.
I'll definitely talk to him.
Because, that's really what I'm trying to do with this studio, provide that ability. And I know Cincinnati or Ohio is a lot better taxes too, that, when you're shooting bigger production type of things. And what we're charging at our studio is $200 an hour. That most cycloramas do like a 1-day charge of $800, right? But what we're going to do is instead of doing like a full day cost, we'll just do it by the hour. So then, if let's say somebody doesn't show up or someone's late, you're only going to get hit with, the deposit versus, $800. I mean, nobody, that really limits who's able to use it.
I totally understand that.
Yeah.
And from a business standpoint, as an engineer, what I've learned that seems to work better for people in terms of time. You're pretty much there in terms of time increments. 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, things like that. Having time slots for your folks.
Yeah.
Definitely makes it more approachable for them to be able to feel comfortable when they come to do their sessions.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and like I said, do you guys have any more questions? Or are we basically good to wrap it up?
Yeah, pretty much that.
Yeah, this is pretty solid. Do you guys have any other thoughts or comments, concerns?
No, the only thing I would ask is what should we look forward from you in the future?
Yeah. So what I would say is, whether or not it's tonight or tomorrow, you will receive a link of the full podcast, and then you will listen to parts of it or the whole thing, whatever you want, and you'll let me know what specific time stamps are your favorite parts.
Got you.
That would help me, right?
Got you.
And then what you'll do is let me know. What would I say? Let me know what those highlights are, and then it'll probably be like 4 or 5 weeks. That's the only big obstacle, and maybe I can ask your, as a friend, right? Maybe you could give me some advice as far as a release schedule, right? That it's kind of hard releasing them once a week because I'm going to build up, 30 episodes, and then I'm going to have someone new that I'm talking to, and you're going to ask me, hey man, when is this going to come out? and I'm going to have to tell you, hey, it's going to be in 30 weeks. So what's your thought as far as, should I just let the podcast rip as I record them and not do like a weekly release, or what's your thoughts on that?
What I would say is a kind of a blend of both. So weekly releases can be very, very tough in terms of your aspect of work, where you're editing large amounts of content in terms of gigabytes and things like that. So I totally understand why it's hard to have it done in that kind of rate, because it takes a lot of time to have it as great as you want it to be. So what I would suggest to kind of help you in that situation, you can do the live recording situations of these podcasts. But what I would say is, you have the live version that people are hearing, and you say maybe at the end of your episodes, you let your folks know that in whatever weeks it'll be, they'll have an opportunity to have a visual connection to the experience. And then that'll keep them engaged while you're putting up these other live contents. And if it was one that they really love, they're going to go back and watch that video whenever you say it is.
So what you're saying is I shouldn't worry about telling people your episode's going to be out in 30 weeks.
Yeah, don't worry about it, bro.
Okay.
If they love your content and they love the personality that you bring to them, they're going to come watch whatever.
Yeah. Well, I'm more so talking about like the actual people that I'm interviewing, like you, for example, that when you would be expecting the episode to come out, right? I'm talking about from the perspective of the people that I'm interviewing, not from the audience perspective.
So from the people you're interviewing, that may be a little bit different, only because everybody has their own feelings in terms of what they're going to be doing.
Because doesn't that feel sketchy if I'm like, hey man, great that we had this conversation, it's going to be out in 30 weeks. Like, isn't that like crazy?
Yeah. I mean, the best thing to do in that situation is set the expectation early. So, yeah, when you're speaking to whoever your interviewee is, let them know early and up front that video editing is a long process, and that it may be 4 to 6 weeks or whatever amount of time it is.
Well, the video editing really isn't the process. It's just that I have a backlog. Right?
I see.
That the problem is that if I record, let's say, 4 episodes in a week, which I have been for the past 3 weeks, I've got like 8 episodes, including yours, right? But I've only released 2 of them. So that means I have like a lead time of a month and some change, right? 2 months.
Gotcha.
So, on one hand, I don't know, I digress. This is shit that I've got to deal with. But I appreciate your feedback.
Sometimes you got to talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the whole purpose of these podcasts, that I'm also attempting to reach my total potential. That I'm trying to help people reach their total potential. I hope that people wish me the same ability. Cool.
Absolutely, bro.
Well, all right, man. Once I get the file, I'm going to send it over, and then you'll let me know what you think.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate you, Go Metro, as well.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for reaching out.
Yeah. And so this was the group interview. I don't know. Do we still want to do like individual interviews separately, or what do we feel?
I wouldn't mind doing individual.
Yeah.
But if you feel like you had enough.
Oh, definitely not tonight. We'll definitely shoot it. We'll definitely do it like in a couple of days or a week, or that we've got so many weeks, right? Like there's no rush. That is a plus of this schedule, is nothing's ever a rush. So maybe finding smart enough people that understand that, hey, we've just got a stockpile. We're not in a rush, and let's just, not be stressed. I think that's the best way to go.
Yes, sir.
Cool.
Whatever time works best for you.
All right, so I'll reach out, within the week or so, and just kind of tap you guys and say, hey, because I do want to record the this past week segment, and since it was only you two, you know, I still maybe will shoot it now-ish for next week and just, you know, review the shit that we talked about today, which was pretty all-encompassing, right? I basically went as deep as I, you know, could go.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, thank you, and we'll talk soon.
Oh,
all right. We'll see you.
Yeah, we lost you for a second there. What did you say?
Okay. No, I was just saying, you know, we're good. We're good to go.
Okay.
Oh, all right. Perfect.
All right. We'll see you.
All right. Stay blessed, man. Talk to you
sir.
soon.